Next, on this episode of The Nice Guys on Business.
Every single thing is provable, right? So we can talk about the brain and how your brain actually is trained to pick up on different things depending on what it is you practice and strengthen. You actually create neural pathways in the brain to experience different feelings, emotions, and to notice different frequencies. So you can change that neurologically. It is a science. And then frequency and vibration, there was no one who's going to argue with you that 98.7 is on a different frequency than 102.7.
You see, Danny, there's a force in the universe that makes things happen, and all you have to do is get in touch with it. Stop thinking, let things happen, and be the ball. Or be the nice guys on business. Either one is good. Need an education on how to grow your business? The Nice Guys are here to help. Learn about great customer service, networking, and how just being nice can help you prosper. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner.
Hey, this is Doug Sandler, host of the Nice Guys on Business podcast, and welcome back. This is a little bit unusual. I am actually sitting directly across from my guest today, JJ Flizanes, and we are hanging out at, well, it's our house because we live together. I was going to try to build it up to be something really like mysterious, and this is great, and I'm walking into a big exec's office, and you know the beauty of having your own business is that we actually do have a really nice office. Our office is our house. And how cool is that to be able to share an office with your partner and enjoy that office being your house, being able to do all your work from your home? This is great because I only work 13 feet from where I sleep. And you know what the worst part about that is? I work 13 feet from where I sleep. So big challenge for all of our solopreneurs or entrepreneurs that are out there. You know how challenging it is because you probably work very close to where you sleep too. And if you do, you know the challenges sometimes of that thing called balance. So we're going to talk about a couple things today. But before I do that, let me just bring in JJ so we can kind of set the record straight on who she is and what she does. If you've never heard of JJ Flizanes, you are about to. And if you've never heard of her, I'm like, what rock have you been living under? So JJ is in it. Wow, we have a cat in the house too. We have cats that stay at our... Wow, this is really good. This is all of a sudden, this is a professional show. So JJ is an empowerment strategist. And what's so cool about her is JJ and I met a couple of years ago. And we met at a podcasting conference. And then she became my personal trainer. And then she fell in love with me. And that was kind of the end of the story right there. That's when it all was the beginning of the end for you, JJ. It was a lot of trouble.
That's the story. That's the story you're going to go with?
Well, I could stay with that one, but is there another story I should tell?
Well, let's just stay with that one. Feels good for you. Let's keep that story.
Okay. So JJ is not only an empowerment strategist, she's a life coach. She is what would you consider? She's a podcaster. She is a business owner. She's hugely successful at several things that she does, including several podcasts. One of them I co-host with her, so there's no reason for it to be successful because I co-host it with her, but it is called Women, Men, and Relationships. She also has 17 others. Why don't you share the names of a couple of others, JJ?
Well, my most popular show, we were nominated for a People's Choice Award, is Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. That's my flagship show now. It has taken over. The original show was called Fit to Love. I have Nutrition and Alternative Medicine, as Doug mentioned, Women, Men, and Relationships. I've got Smart Exercise. That's a video podcast. I've got Easy Paleo, Gluten, and Dairy-Free Cooking. It's also a video podcast. And both of those actually live on my YouTube channel as well, so you don't have to get them through podcasting. And what's coming out soon is Health and Wealth. And then there's going to be JJ's Inner Circle membership, which is not a podcast you can get for free. It's a podcast you can pay for, but it will be a podcast.
So what's cool about today's topic, and we're going to spend some time talking about it today because we were driving in the car and we were talking about, I just got back from Vancouver where I spent 3.5 days learning about funnel building, the automated funnels, like through a company like ClickFunnels and Active Campaign and Webinar Jam. And these are languages that before me getting into podcasting, I never even heard of these companies. I had no idea what they were. I didn't know what a funnel was, or I thought it was that thing that we used to siphon water into a jug or something like that. I wasn't 100% sure. And I was so resistant to so many things. And marketing was one of the things I was very resistant to. And I would put up so much resistance that it was really blocking my way to be able to grow my business. It was almost like I was putting up a block just because I wasn't sure of what it was. And I challenge everybody that's out there to listen to today's episode. And JJ has so many great pearls of wisdom that she's going to share with you today, just about how to either not sacrifice your health for wealth, or the other side of it is,
well, again, the timing of things. And one of your comments in the car about today's episode was about you wanted to talk about resistance. But you have said, even without bringing up the word resistance, it wasn't the right time. And I think, what's real for me right now is I've just launched a mastermind program. I've just opened the enrollment. Enrollment ends in January, in the middle of January. And it's called the Inner Circle Mastermind. But my whole take on business from my own experience of being a business owner for 20 years, from being in other people's masterminds, other people's coaching programs, doing program after program, I've learned a lot. And it's not about how much you know. It's about when you need the right information at the right time. And I think the most successful people, and I don't mean financially successful, because I know a lot of financial people who aren't happy. So when we take a step back as to why are you an entrepreneur or business owner in the first place, none of us got involved in being our own bosses because we wanted to be stressed to the max and never have a life.
No, it's the exact opposite, actually. We got into it because we thought we knew better than our former boss, or we just didn't want to have to answer to anybody.
Well, that, and we wanted freedom and flexibility. But how many entrepreneurs are actually taking freedom and flexibility?
Yeah, very rare. And that, again, is a part of the challenge, being somebody that owns your own business. And the term entrepreneur, in 1986, when I graduated college, it wasn't really even a term that we used. I mean, it was just a guy that owned his own business. There was probably entrepreneurship, and it was probably something that was a thing. But the people wear entrepreneurship as a badge of honor today, and it's great, and I think you should. However, there are so many entrepreneurs that are killing themselves by working their 16-hour days and doing everything in their business, and stress to the max, families breaking down, finances in disarray, everything that you thought that you wanted to get from being an entrepreneur. You're in it right now. How do you feel? I mean, are you feeling like you're stressed to the max? Are you feeling like there's issues? Are you feeling like, man, wouldn't it be great if I could actually just go back to working 8 hours a day for someone else that's taking all the risk?
Well, I think people feel that way when they're in a financial situation where cash flow isn't regular and they're looking for regular cash flow. But it's that trade-off of, do you want regular cash flow or do you want your freedom? And it really comes down to, I think, after 20 years in business and really being on the other side of this whole podcasting journey, which has taken on a whole new business, and reevaluating, I've been out in the world doing what I think are very innovative kind of things. There are a lot of people that have said to me, I don't know anyone else doing what you're doing. I do a mind, body, soul approach to wellness and to health and to relationships. And finally this year it was the time to bring it into money too. I could no longer deny the money aspect of this. And my whole goal has always been to connect all the dots because they're all connected. And I see too many people, and I've been around too many people who are very successful in one area of their life, but the other areas of their life are not successful.
Well, talk about that for a second, because I think it's really interesting. You have a mind, body, soul perspective or approach to business. But I've seen you in positions where you have had some stress in your life. And how do you come back to center? How do you find yourself, whether it's through woo, through West, through practice? What is it that helps you get to the point where you feel like you're in a good frame of mind?
Well, it goes back to what your belief systems are and what your goals are. And I teach a lot of law of attraction principles. And so if I believe truly that we live in abundance and that wellness is always available to us and that we decide if we pinch ourselves off or we're in alignment with all of that, if I really believe that, and I really have a trust and a faith, and I really click into the powers that be and the amount of intuition and the amount of information, non-physical information, if you will, that's coming to me at every moment that I'm either available to or not available to. I mean, think about like the greatest artists in the world or the greatest athletes or even a business owner with a great innovation and idea. Do you think they did that alone? They didn't do that alone, but not to go down the spiritual pathway of what it is you believe, but I do believe that. And I wanted to operate my life from that position. Again, I've been a personal trainer to some very successful people over the years, and their health and their relationships and their stress level is not one I would trade for financial, reasons.
Well, let's draw a through line for a second. What are some of the characteristics of somebody that you have seen that has not only been financially secure, but has been in a position where they're actually they're happy with where they are. They're not stressed to the max. And it's not just I've made a lot of money, so I'm happy. It's got to be, I've made a lot of money, that makes me happy. But the reason I'm happy is because I have some freedom and I have the flexibility to do what I want, when I want, with whom I want.
Well, honestly, I'm thinking of Esther Hicks and Jerry Hicks and Abraham. I mean, their business was built around doing something that they love to do and the gatherings that they did, and they did as many as they wanted to, and they didn't really do a lot of marketing. It was like word of mouth marketing, and they had a blast. Then they wrote, they did what they wanted to do when they wanted to do it.
Okay, but take that to the guy that's listening or the woman that's listening to this right now that says, okay, well, I love doing what I do and I'm passionate about it and I'm putting my heart and soul into it, but I don't know how to back up so that I'm not working 60 hours a week at it, and then so that I can at least pay my bills. I mean, oftentimes people have some pretty simple goals. The goal is, I want to work a little bit less, but I still want to be able to pay my bills and I want to enjoy what I'm doing. So how do you find yourself and how do you get yourself in a position where all of those things are in alignment?
Okay. My first answer is going to be that if you're not of the belief system that you have access to infinite intelligence and you could get ideas and intuitions and hits and downloads, then the only other place you're going to get it literally is either from some kind of teacher or mentor or mastermind group. You don't know what you don't know. And when it's the right time to move to that next level, there has to be two things in place. One, you have to be ready to move to that level. And two, you need to know how to take the next steps to that level.
I want to add a comment there, because what's really interesting was prior to moving here in Los Angeles, a nice guy community, if you're just starting to listen to the show over the last couple of years, you may not realize that I've not always lived in Los Angeles. I used to live on the East Coast. And I can remember my schedule on the East Coast. I mean, it was literally working probably 80 to 90 hours every week. I mean, that would be a pretty common approach to my business. The harder I worked, I thought the more successful that I would be. It wasn't until I came out here and I experienced some really challenging times in my life prior to moving out here, whether it was through anxiety, a failed relationship with an ex-wife that I had, challenges with my family. A lot of those things added to the complexity of the problem. For me, I was not only working too much, but I was also under a lot of stress. And my business was, while it was doing well, it wasn't doing like, oh my gosh, it wasn't like going to the nth degree. I move out here to Los Angeles. I start adopting some of the principles and the philosophies that you have. We put on the schedule things like you and me time. We put exercise time. We put downtime on the schedule. Most of my good ideas have actually come from a time when I'm not in my business. It comes from a time where I'm walking on the beach with you, or we're walking next to the Pacific Ocean and we're just having a conversation. And you and I talk about business a lot, but sometimes it just comes down to just giving yourself the freedom to be able to have a clear mind so that you're not pressured by all of the stress that you're dealing with on your day-to-day. So working that 80 hour a week or 60 hours a week, for many of you who are listening to this, I'm sure that's your schedule. You're not giving yourself the opportunity to let the ideas come to you. You're not preparing yourself for what is that next step, because all you're continuing to do is work in your business over and over and over again every day. It makes it really challenging for a new idea to come in because you're so busy working on your other ideas.
Right. You can either be working in your business or on your business, but the ideas you get when you work on your business, when you're not in your business, are going to be a higher level idea. They're going to have a different perspective. And so that's sort of what we were talking about, that you had resistance to building a funnel. A year ago, I said, you need a funnel and you need a different product. You only have one offering. It's a high level offering. Well, you're leaving money on the table when there's so many people that aren't going to take the high level offer, but they take the low level offer in half a minute. but it's taken you, and that's okay because it was about your time frame and when it was right for you. And for the last year, I have really, been cultivating and expanding. See, guys, I believe that life is also a school. Like you're literally in life school. You get out of your grade school and your college, and if you do an advanced degree, and now you're in life. And life has as many lessons, if not more, to teach you if you're willing. And your business is going to shine the light on your insecurities and the places that you need to grow. And I believe that if we're walking in step with those cues, and we take those cues and we learn that lesson, then our business expands, and so do we. But if you're wanting to run business from just a left brain, strategic, follow the numbers, and not a balanced brain of using your intuition and your emotions and your desires, it's why so many people, they retire or they have a heart attack before they retire because they're so damn stressed and they hate their job. I mean, I can think of several people who hated their job their entire life and had all these different pains, neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, different diseases, different issues and ailments because they hated their job.
Yeah, a lot of people do find themselves in a position where they hate their job. I'm just thinking of one instance where, and we're going to talk about this for just a second, Skillshare. If you have an opportunity to go online and check out Skillshare, if you ever want to just be sparked to try to find that little edge of creativity that you need, get out of the rut that you're in right now and be a little bit more creative. You can build, fuel, and expand your creative engine. Do that with Skillshare. So here's the deal. Skillshare is an online learning community for the creator in all of us. They have thousands of classes. I was actually looking at a class in font making. It was really cool. There's a whole bunch of online courses, marketing, productivity, funnel building, anything that you can think of, including connected daily to the content with your podcast, illustration, graphic design, photography, UI, UX design, creativity, productivity, freelance and entrepreneurship, web development, so many things. Their classes are on demand so you can just learn at your own pace. Get inspired, join a class, and create something that you'll love. If you're thinking about expanding your creativity, definitely take a Skillshare class. And I'll tell you, there's a Nice Guys discount. You get 2 free months when you sign up. Skillshare.com/Nice Guys. That's 2 whole months of unlimited access to thousands of classes for free. You want to spark that edge of creativity, Skillshare is the place to do it. Get started today by heading to Skillshare.com/Nice Guys to sign up. That's Skillshare.com/Nice Guys. Have you ever taken an online course?
Absolutely.
Do you find like when you take them, like, do you immerse yourself, like, do you have to like completely like zone out of everything else? I mean, can you do it like when things are going on in the background too?
No. No. I have to watch the videos and take notes and be completely focused on that if I want to get the most out of it. Because if I try to multitask, I will miss it. And most of the time, if you're making any kind of financial investment in a course, you want to get the most out of it.
Yeah, I was watching one of the classes that they have. They actually have a class. Now, I spent 4 days in person doing some funnel building. And what would have been great if I would have just taken the Skillshare class I was looking at. They do it in about 45 minutes. I had to travel to do this one. And this one on Skillshare is really cool. So once again, go to Skillshare.com/Nice Guys to sign up. 2 free months when you sign up. Skillshare.com/Nice Guys. All right. So when it comes to fostering creativity for yourself, though, how do you really get yourself in a position where you can expand? Is it just a matter of giving yourself some downtime to be able to do it, to give yourself some freedom to do it? Or how do you put yourself in a position where you don't get stuck all the time working in your business?
Well, for me, I've done so many things in the 20 years I've been in business, and I've like gone down so many rabbit holes and been motivated by anxiety, motivated by fear, motivated by inspiration. Like I've literally done so many of the different things you can do that I have the perspective of what's worked the best. And what's worked the best is when I went into a business not giving a crap about anyone else's opinion about what I was doing, and I was doing it for me because I believed in it, and then it like exploded into the strongest marketing arm I have. And without the path that I went down, I wouldn't have gotten there. So I would never, for those of you that don't know anything about me, I started a show called Fit to Love, and it was a 6-day-a-week show. And it was 2 days were videos, high quality, 3 camera HD shoots, One was exercise, one was cooking. And then the other 4 days were all audio shows and interviews. And I also did solo shows. And I stuck in what I called Freedom Friday, which was really my spirituality day. And I sandwiched it in because I thought, great, this will be my day. This is my selfish day to talk about what I'm interested in. And I don't really care who listens to it because I want to talk about it. Now, I never would have started a podcast about that issue by myself. I wouldn't have felt confident enough to say, I'm going to talk about law of attraction, even though I'm a personal trainer, I'm teaching nutrition, I have education in these areas, but I'm going to start. I would never have done that.
I think that the biggest issue when people hear law of attraction, the first thing they go to is woo. And the first thing they think about is this isn't real. This is like belief. This is mind over matter. Just wish it and it will be. That's where people go.
That's not where everybody goes.
It's not where everybody goes. I know that, but that's where a lot of people go to that. How do you get beyond? It didn't matter to you. So you said, I don't care about all that stuff. I'm just going to go because I really love doing this.
Well, because everyone who thinks it's woo is wrong. It's science. It's actually physics. It's every single thing is provable, right? So we can talk about the brain and how your brain actually is trained to pick up on different things depending on what it is you practice and strengthen. You actually create neural pathways in the brain to experience different feelings, emotions, and to notice different frequencies. So you can change that neurologically. It is a science. And then frequency and vibration, there was no one who's going to argue with you that 98.7 is on a different frequency than 102.7. No one will argue with that.
Correct.
No one will argue that channel 4 cannot be seen on channel 2.
Right. I got it.
Okay. So it is a frequency. It is not a belief system. It is a frequency, and it's happening all the time, whether you believe it or not. The difference is whether or not you actually get a handle on it and actually co-create instead of manifest by default because you have no idea where your frequency lays.
All right. So let's talk about that for a second because we have a lot of people that are in our community. I'm sure even the ones that are really, really doing well and reaching out and doing their entrepreneurship thing and they're working 1 million hours a week and they're making it a killing, but they're just not satisfied with their career. So does that relate at all to frequency, vibration, law of attraction?
There's a level of consciousness that one can grow into. And you're a prime example of that, Doug, as you know. And I love you, and this isn't a slam against you, and you laughed about this not too long ago. You were laughing at yourself because you thought your anxiety attack could have been caused by a face cream.
I did. It's the truth. I literally went into my doctor's office after experiencing my first anxiety attack on September 9th, 2015. And I thought, what has changed in my life that is creating this reaction of this change in my attitude, a change in my body? What caused this panic attack? And I literally asked the doctor, could it possibly be my face cream? Because I had changed my cream. I'm like, no, it's not your face cream. I'm like, are you sure? I even asked him, are you sure? He was sure it was not my face cream.
So that's what we call asleep on the world. But I love you, and we're all at that at some point. Okay. And life, again, will ask of you to grow. Children of yours will ask you to grow. Your business will ask you to grow, and your relationship will ask you to grow.
Okay. So give me a symptom that somebody that's in our audience right now.
Back pain.
Okay. All right. So let me finish the question so they know what I'm going to ask. What's a symptom someone in our community is experiencing right now and we have not prepped for this question. I didn't know you were going to give me that answer, and I love your answer because I hear where you're going. A symptom somebody is experiencing in my community right now when they know things are not going well, or they know that they need to make a change right now.
Back pain, anxiety, neck pain, shoulder pain, foot issues, digestive issues, sensitivities to everything, high allergies.
Headaches, migraines.
Absolutely. Insomnia, yes.
Okay.
Depression.
Okay. So are these things, but wait a minute. Depression runs in my family. It's genetic. I do a lot of exercise, or I do a lot of lifting in my day. That could be the cause of my back pain, or I'm highly stressed. So yes, I have some stomach issues. That could be their response to that. What do you say to that?
Well, if it's a physical issue, physical treatments will fix it. So if you have back pain and you think you're out of alignment, you see the chiropractor a couple times, handful of times, 2 or 3, and it works and it stays, cool. Then it was probably you were out of alignment. But if physical issues like chiropractic, Pilates, personal training and physical therapy, acupuncture, never actually take it away, it's not a physical issue. It's an emotional issue. And I'm not saying that you are imagining your pain. You're absolutely having pain. But the pain is masking you're not wanting to feel the emotions that's underneath that pain. So your body will produce pain as a distraction because you don't want to face the repressed anger that you have or fear. Doug, you're going to say something?
No, I'm listening to you. I'm totally in agreement. Yeah, I'm totally in agreement with you.
You were also someone who had
high
anxiety and back pain.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now you don't.
Correct.
Right. So what's different?
Well, I know all of the changes that I've made in my life in the last year and a half or so. I mean, I know what those changes are. I mean, I realize the importance of putting me time on my schedule. And you guys that are listening to this and just saying, please don't tell me about meditation. Please don't tell me about, of course you don't have you have less stress because you're doing less work and you're not accomplishing as much as you were before. And I would say that's bullshit. I'm actually accomplishing more now, working 3.5 days a week or more, a little bit more, but working less than I ever have in my entire life and loving it. Is there still stress in my life? Absolutely. Are those things that I'm working towards? Yes, but I'm not necessarily working towards it's not going to be fixed by me working harder. Me working more is not going to reduce my fear of being able to pay my bills. My working more is not going to, if I just work a little bit more, I'll be able to get that extra client that will reduce my stress. That's not how it works. It's not how it works.
Let me give you a very basic law of attraction quote that can apply to everybody, everywhere, all the time, every day. Ready? The only reason you want anything you want is because you think you'll feel better when you have it. Let me repeat. The only reason you want whatever it is you want. You want more money. You want a relationship. You want a better house. You want a better climate. You want your kids to calm down and respect you. Whatever it is you think you want, the only reason you want it is because you think you'll feel better when you get it. And here's the basis of this work is that you can't get it until you're in a place where you can receive it. When we're in denial of our feelings and we're in denial of our beingness for the sake of working, what people don't realize is that we all have addictions, and workaholism is an addiction. It's a wanting to work, put your head down because it'll keep you out of trouble. It'll keep you disconnected from the things that bother you. So if you think about that concept of wanting what you want because you think you'll feel better, you can actually feel better without having it. And again, people think that your emotions are based on your circumstances, and it's actually not. You actually can change your interpretation. So if everything you're doing in life is striving to feel better, you're missing the boat in that you can feel better now. And I have tried in many different ways to build businesses and products and programs and do business in different ways from a couple different vantage points. And so I've learned this and I've worked this program sort of firsthand. And what I have found for me, what's really true for me, like I was saying, when I did Spirit, Purpose, and Energy, when I created my Freedom Friday show, and then I made it into its own podcast with no products, no programs, and no hope or expectation it would do anything. And then all of a sudden, it was the strongest driver for my business and really validated what I was unwilling to step into by myself. So I think your business and your life is calling to you. It's giving you clues and cues of how to grow and how to change. And if you deny the lesson, then you stay in the problem.
Can you give me an example of a cue that your business or a business, for those that are in our Nice Guy community listening right now, that your business is screaming to you, why aren't you paying attention to this? And you're missing it because you're so busy being in it.
I'll give you an example of someone else's business that I witnessed in a mastermind group. It was a business owner who would have to hire like independent people to work for them. in a virtual assistant kind of way, also in person, and person after person would quit or do something to the business, and that business owner kept thinking that they were choosing the wrong person. And over again, I would hear the complaints, and I would hear the arguments, and I would hear the firing or the rehiring or the how could they do this to me, and the business owner was never getting the clue that they were the common denominator.
So how do you fix that? How do you change that? If you say, well, hey, listen, it's my business. I get to run it how I want to, and I need to hire somebody that actually is going to be in alignment with the way that I want to run it. How do you, and there are probably a ton of people that are in our community right now that are just churning through. And I can think of one client in particular that we have that they just churn through employees over and over and over again. And it's like, guys, do you not realize that the common denominator in this is you? And they will fight you tooth and nail about, well, hold on a second. So it's not really us, because it's our training program. It's our hiring practices. And then they'll come up with every reason why they don't see that it's them. So how do you take somebody that's listening to this and say, it really could be you. This really is you. And what signal are you seeing? What are you getting from that, from those people that you are the common denominator? But how do you know what to change then?
Well, because it is our client, and how I will take this client through a program like this will be to go back and use some of the tools that I use to uncover the needs of each level of the business, and to, again, have that perspective of, like we talked about in our presentation.
But now everybody has the privilege of being able to have us be their consulting team. So how do you determine if you have people that are churning through your business, or you have VAs that leave, or you have projects that don't get completed because you're just moving on to the next thing? What signals is your business sending you to tell you, guys, you just need to change?
When everything feels like a struggle, when nothing is working out, when nothing is easy, you are not on the right track, or you're not on the right path, or you're not in the right field, but the universe is giving you signals you're not listening to.
But building a business is hard. It's supposed to be hard. I'm not saying that from my side. I'm saying that is really the answer that we get over and over and over again from people that are just, I see this all the time with people that want to build a podcast, and they're struggling with it. They're struggling. I'm just like, will you just succumb to the system? Just you can't be 10 episodes in and have the world already. Give yourself some time to breathe. And they don't. They want everything right now. So how do you tell somebody that's in our community, would you just relax just for a moment? Just take some time off. Just stop tunneling through this, thinking that the harder you work, the more you're going to be able to get there.
All right. I'll give you another law of attraction quote. And if this doesn't penetrate, then you're kind of a lost cause. You are the creator of your own reality. Boom. Okay? You are the creator of your own reality.
So put that in terms that people understand. You're the
How do you not understand that?
I'm just saying, if you're struggling, it's because
there is something in your belief system, in your practices, in your energy, that's disconnected. If there are not things about what's happening for you that flow easily, if there's not clues that you're paying attention, you can't wake somebody, like you're wanting me to give them tools. If they're asleep, they're not going to hear this.
Okay, I got it. So how do you take somebody that is asleep? And I hear what you're saying, and I completely agree. Look, if you're asleep and you're listening to this, what I'm saying is, I know you're not physically sleeping, but if you're unconscious and you're not focused on what do I need to do to get to the next level, or what do I need to do to get beyond where I am right now, if you keep thinking what has to happen, go.
We have a mutual friend who is asleep in his $1 million business. He keeps thinking that it's about the offer, or the structure of the offer, or the way he can't get that it's not about the overall offer. It's about him. It's about the contents. It's about the team, the energy, the lack of energy. So he's not happy as a person. His business only goes to a certain level, and he keeps thinking it's about the offer or the presentation, and he doesn't take into consideration that who he is.
Okay, I got it. But I'm going to come back to this for a second. How do you get someone to wake up?
You don't get someone to wake
Okay,
up. You
so-
cannot force anyone to wake up. All you can do is plant the seed, and when they're ready for it to sprout, they will go, like, you weren't awake.
No.
Your marriage and divorce thrusted you into.
Right.
I mean, I planted seeds for you, though, when you and I were working together because you had back pain. And I, after 3 sessions, because I knew I only had 10 sessions, I didn't want to get into too much of the emotional stuff because it takes longer than 10 sessions to get someone from asleep to awake. I have a client coming on my show. It's taken me 8 years. And it's not me, but it's taken the evolution of him
Right.
8 years.
Yeah.
And now that he's like, oh my God. And I'm like, right, can we please talk about this?
All right. What is the first step in the awakening?
Well, I think you have to have a consciousness and awareness about your thoughts. You have to actually be curious about what am I thinking right now? Why am I reacting this way? What are my feelings? You actually have to be present in your body and in your brain and in your head at some point in the day to have some perspective and be an observer for a moment and take a step back and ask yourself, I'm thinking about this client of mine who's going to be on the show. And I asked him, well, what are your feelings? And no one had ever asked him that. And he had never, as a 65-year-old man, middle child, had never stopped and thought, gee, how do I feel? Because he was on automatic.
Right.
He was just
Right.
on, go through work. He was on I'm just on what's
A conveyor belt.
Yeah.
What I love about this is, and I've seen this in action before because I've had the opportunity, and I want to give you a chance to promote a couple of things that you have going on, because I have seen this in action. I mean, not only with myself individually with our role back and forth with each other, but I've seen this in group settings where you actually have 20, 30, 40 people that are all getting in touch with their feelings in an environment where they're all becoming more conscious, more aware. And I think for your audience, most of the time, your listeners are coming to your events already prepared for the next step. And the next step is, now that I'm conscious, here's what I need to do. I'm really curious what would happen if you had a room full of unconscious people, how long it takes you to break through that. So before you even share what your philosophy is there, because unfortunately you don't have to deal with that ever because most of your people come already conscious. But you do these live events. So why don't you share what the dynamic?
But I'm thinking about our client.
Okay.
I took our client through this process and I saw some people wake up. There are some teachings that can be presented in a way, like about the 3-step process of feelings, needs, and getting your needs met. And in terms of customer service, in terms of sales, in terms of relationships, in terms of dealing with your own stuff. And when it's, I'm pretty strong in my presentation. I make statements. And when someone actually really hears it, like Ashley, a couple of them woke up.
Yeah.
Not necessarily completely conscious, but they actually started thinking differently. And so I don't think it doesn't need to take that long. But again, if you can go back to you're the creator of your own reality, the great news about that is you get to change it. But what's probably going to be the next step for you is a learning curve, understanding what's going on and how to change it and where you need to go next in order for it to change.
Can you test it? I'm just curious. Can you almost get to a point where you say, for the next 3 days, the next 2 days, the next 24 hours, I'm going to pretend I am conscious for a moment, and I'm going to take a deeper dive into some of these things, into these reactionary moments where somebody yells at you and your knee-jerk response is just to yell right back at them and to just get into it, or somebody does something at work and your first response is criticism rather than gratitude, or something like that. Is there a fake it till you make it philosophy that you can go through?
Sure. Speaking of the client of mine, he started meditating. He came to my first event and he still to this day meditates.
That's where it started for me.
And right, for you, I know and it was only we're talking about 5 minutes with a guided meditation. Who can't do that?
Right. Exactly.
We're not talking about sitting for an hour cross-legged, upright in a bright room and trying to clear your mind with no sound. We're talking about a 5-minute laying down guided meditation or sitting up guided meditation. So it can literally start there. And when you actually slow yourself down and put yourself in your body in the moment, I have an acting background, and one of the best phrases, I really think everybody should take an acting class, because when you learn how to look from someone else's perspective, your life will be transformed. But one of the best things that we said in acting class was being in the moment. You're critiqued on whether or not someone actually believed you were in that moment. And that's such a powerful thing for us in life, because how many of us are not in the moment in our own lives?
We're either living from the dread of what just happened in the past, or worrying about the future of what's going to happen, and we very rarely live in that specific moment right now.
And that's all there is. The rest of it's made up, because the past is just a story we keep telling. The future is just a story we keep making up. The only thing we actually already have is right now in this moment. But how many of us aren't ever living in the moment? So I would say try to get yourself to live in your moment, and slow down the thoughts and conversation about what's happening in an hour from now, in a week from now, in a year from now, and quit replaying what happened before that already happened that you can't change. Try to be present. Gratitude and appreciation practices are some of those things that pull you into a focus of the here and now.
Yeah, again, one of the things that you do at your events, which is amazing, is this last one, especially this rampage of appreciation. And it was great talking to a complete stranger about the things that we can find in them or ourselves that we appreciate, and doing that for a 3-minute workshop. It's just amazing. The 3-minute workshop on workshopping this environment of appreciation. Amazing.
Well, what's amazing is how many people think that, like if you tell them, it's 3 minutes, like, okay, that doesn't sound very hard, until they start doing it. And how many people are so programmed to complain. I know one of my clients, when we did it, I had her do it just on a phone call back and forth to me. And she's like, oh my God, this is so hard. This is the longest voicemail ever. I don't even know what to say. And I thought, you want to be happy, but all you know how to do is focus on the negative. So it really shows you where your set point is. And so people will say, it's a minute or 3 minutes. Like, that's not a big deal. And then you actually try to do it for a lot of people, and it's hard for them. It's a practice, just like exercise and connecting to new muscle fibers and new actions and creating muscle and endurance in different areas of your body. It's the same for your brain. If you do not practice being in a headspace where you can actually receive joy, then you're probably not going to be very good at it.
And I'm talking to someone that is a practitioner of this. This is just not a philosophy that she provides to people that are within her coaching program. I live with her. I see this every day, and she receives the fruit of her labor by the actions that she takes every day. I see the community that she's built every day, their level of appreciation for her every day. It's just amazing. Every day, the people that are followers of yours, and I'm not saying followers in a cult-like manner. These are people that are highly motivated, highly skilled, and know that life is better than where they were, and they're trying to get to the next step. And sometimes that next step is just clearing that block in your way, and that block in your way oftentimes is you and your attitude. It's just you and your unconsciousness. And I'm not saying that in a derogatory way. I lived there for 53 years of my life. So I respect everybody that's in my community. I know that I want to get you to that next level at doing what you do, whatever it is that you do. And the way to get there is just to wake up. If you do nothing more than wake up, and potentially wake up and work less and give yourself an opportunity to be in the moment and grow based upon where your brain is taking you rather than where your business is taking you, you really will find that there is a lot of joy on that other side. I really want to talk about the programs that you have, because you do have some great programs, and I want to make sure that my community is aware of those.
Well, I'd first say, if you're at all intrigued by any of this and you haven't heard of me or my show, come check out Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. That is my podcast. And again, all of the shows kind of have some of the same information. Nutrition, alternative medicine has different stuff, but Spirit, Purpose, and Energy is kind of the place to start. And then it kind of trickles down from there. I've got a live event coming up in January 2020. It's the last event I'm doing, a public event, until 2021. And it's the third time we're doing it. It's at a beautiful resort called 1440 Multiversity near Santa Cruz, California. It's in Scotts Valley, and that's actually also closer to San Jose. That's where you'd fly into. But it's in January, the 10th through the 12th. It's called Releasing What Weighs You Down. So if you're interested, you can check out releasingwhatweighyoudown.com.
And I will be there.
Doug will be there. And it'll be his second time coming to Releasing What Weighs You Down. And it's a proven inside out and outside in process. We release inherited emotional DNA and energetic sort of things that you hold on to that you don't even know are there. And then we take this deeper dive into understanding why you are the way you are from a couple different angles in order to get to let go of what's not working for you. So releasingwhatweighyoudown.com, that's, a personal retreat. You can bring a loved one. And then I've got my mastermind that I just opened enrollment for, and that's the Inner Circle Mastermind, which is about building health and wealth. It's about focusing on coming from a place, an emotional place, a belief of abundance and leading with that. It's also coming from a place of collaboration, not competition. It's very rampant in entrepreneurialism and businesses to feel like everyone's your competition. And when you go into it like that and you put up defensive and resistance, it disallows sort of the path that you're supposed to be on. And there's really enough to go around. And it's figuring out what your path is. So we're coming from abundance, not scarcity. We're focusing on collaboration, not competition. And we're also building wealth without sacrificing our health. And those are principles that are just really near and dear to me. And being able to enjoy your life, have fun, have life balance, figure out what that means for you. It's not going to be the same every day. It's not going to be the same every year. If you have kids, it's definitely not the same every year. But there is a space to honor all of those aspects of your life and not decide to put so much on one side, and then you're in a deficit, you're in adrenal fatigue, your health goes under, and then you have to stop what you're doing because you've sacrificed your health in the pursuit of wealth. Nobody wants to be at that place. And so I would recommend, if you're interested, you can reach out to me, jj@jjflizanes.com. I've got a webinar. I can give you a little bit of an overview, and then you can see if it's a right fit for you. It isn't a right fit for everyone. There's only about 8 spaces left, and as they fill up, I will not be adding more. It's a year-long program, and it's a guarantee. That's the one crazy thing I did, was I actually offered a guarantee that the investment that you make, I'm guaranteeing that you get it back. Or either you continue coaching or you get your money back. One of the two. Because if I can't make you the money that you invest, I shouldn't be doing this.
That's somebody that's pretty secure in the work that they do, I would say.
Well, and it's not a gigantic investment. I mean, let's be honest. It's a very reasonable investment to test out this theory I have of the mind, body, soul approach to wellness and wealth. And so if you're called to live life differently from a place of focusing on balance and wealth and fun and not waiting until you're retired to actually enjoy your life and hope that you don't get sick along the way, let me know, jj@jjflizanes.com.
So what's next? You have this program, you have the mastermind, you have Releasing What Weighs You Down. What happens in 2020 for you? Have you worked on what your plan is?
Yes, I am moving to another level of my business. For years, I have silently threatened to write a book that is based on someone else's book and do it in a different way. And then I started teaching it, and I thought, I'm satisfied with this. I don't need to write the book. I'll just do what I'm doing. And now I've taught this particular course 5 or 6 times. And the work is so powerful that people actually want to take it and teach it to kids and write children's books on it. And I'm like, you know what? Like a TED Talk. I'm going to have a TED Talk in 2020, and it's going to be on this topic because it's time to give it a facelift and a makeover and bring it into this new time and this new era with this new energy. And not because what it was before was bad. I just feel like there's a more powerful way to bring it about, and I think I'm the person to do it. And to step into those shoes has been a journey for me to get negative feedback, to deal with any wounds I have in my own business of growing and that whole imposter syndrome of who do you think you are, and healing wounds from other people trying to bring me down in my past. And that's a journey. And that's, sometimes when you get negative feedback in your business, or a customer doesn't like you, or someone files a complaint, or someone sues you, you think it's the end of the world. And by the way, I've had all of those things happen. And you think it's the end of the world, and it grows you like nothing else. In fact, before he was president, and I'm not going to mention any opinions about that, but in the past, the first person who threatened to sue me, I thought, what would Donald Trump do? Like, I actually put on this hat of don't be you, be him. And he would laugh it off because it was a threat. It wasn't a real thing. And that's exactly what I did. And that's exactly what happened. So again, if you want something more than what you have to grow into being that. And these challenges that happen grow you into that. So for me, 2020 is really about stepping up, claiming the gifts that I have in delivering this particular content, getting my TED Talk, writing the book, and then seeing who's interested. And also, if they're interested, putting a certification plan together to take this information into schools, into government, into relationships. It belongs everywhere. And you know it because you know what I'm talking about.
All this, and she is an amazing chef as well. I love it. I love it. Great information. Yes, you definitely want to check out jjflizanes.com. You want to stay tuned for her TED Talk, which will be coming out in 2020. I'm going to hold her to that because I know that it is definitely going to be a done deal. I'm excited to see where all of your business ventures are going, especially the ones that I'm connected with you on, because I know that they're going to be killer great because you're a part of them. So thank you for being on the show. Thank you for being on my life. Thank you for being in my life. Thanks for all the stuff that you've done, supporting me and helping me get through some very challenging times. And thanks for being you, JJ.
You're welcome, Doug. Thanks for having me back on the show.
Nice Guy community, never underestimate the power of nice or the power of a really well-placed TED Talk. Special thanks to JJ Flizanes. All of her information, including access to her mastermind, her website, all of the stuff that we talked about on today's show will be right there in the show notes. Steve O'Brien. Hey, wait a minute. This is episode 997. Oh my gosh. That means that next week, the end of next week, we will be celebrating episode 1000. So you keep hearing the names Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner on the beginning of each episode. If you have not been tuning in for the last couple of years, you will notice that you never hear from Strickland. Well, on Friday next week, Strickland Bonner will be here with me, episode 1000. Stay tuned. We will be here. Go ahead, Steve O'Brien, take us out of here.
For the Nice Guys on Business, the only podcast I provide voice for and also actually listen to, I'm Steve O'Brien. Well, that's what I tell them, at least. Listen to the beginning and the end. All the stuff in the middle is just yak, 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 yak.